What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the All-In Podcast, a podcast for casual leaguers. I am the League Dad. I'm joined by Style on 'em 123, AFK Trash Can, and Kevin She 3. So Style on 'em and Kevin, you guys know already, but AFK is joining us here for this segment of the LCS recap, and we're excited to have him his first time. So it's a tradition here that we let our new co-host give a little bit of info on who they are, their history with the game, and that sort of thing, just so that you guys can get to know him. He will be a more frequent co-host, so it's good to get to know. So AFK Trash Can, I want to open it up to you for just a minute or so. Let us know how you got into the game, how you fell in love with the game, who your favorite team is, who your favorite champ is, how your game is going on now. Anything you want to share with us, just give us a little bit of info on you for our listeners.
Can we also get how you got that name? I'm very curious about that.
Okay, yeah, that might be good too.
Okay, so I'll start off with how I got my name. I used to go by it's Jess99, and there was no reason for it. It was just my Minecraft username whenever I started playing. But I hung out with this group of friends, and they were big Donkey Sky Williams fans. And there was one video where Sky Williams was talking in his video. It was like, "Hey, quit being AFK Trash Can." And at the time, I was really bad at League and would AFK all the time, so my friends would call me AFK Trash Can. And
there it is.
It stuck.
Oh, I'm glad someone else watches Sky Williams.
Okay, there it is.
There's not many.
Okay.
I watch him too. It's been a while though.
But that's how I got my name. Another note, so my name's Kyle. I started back in season 4. I fell in love with the game almost immediately.
Yeah.
It took me forever to actually grind out the games to level 30. But my first champ I played was Nami.
Hey, yeah. Don't you dare, Style. Don't you dare, Style. He loves Nami. He's good. No, go ahead. You go with that. You go with Nami. Okay. So who's your favorite champ? Who's your favorite champ now?
Man, it's a tough one. I've been playing Kled a lot recently.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's a lot of fun, and I've always loved Gnar. So.
Yeah, I like that.
As long as it's not something like Janna, I don't really mind.
Yeah, whatever. And by the way, we also, I know, right? How are you gonna talk? You're a Lux player right here.
I'm a Lux mid player. That doesn't count.
Okay. It doesn't matter. So who is your favorite team? Because, you know, we have obvious biases here. We kind of make those known. Who is Oh my gosh! I don't know if we could have. No, just kidding. Yeah, you got the we got the TSM fans and now C9 fans. Dan,
did someone say TSM is the big 3?
Yeah, back there on that chair, there's a licorice
Style. It's too soon, my friend. It's too soon. It hurts. All right. Well, hey, it's good to have you on the show, my friend. I'm glad that we get to hear you talk on the LCS show. So basically, we're recapping LCS Week 8, I believe. I mean, I'm getting lost in track of time now. I know it's getting closer to the end, but we got a lot of things happening. I mean, obviously, I think the biggest game this past week was C9 versus Team Liquid. And before we go any further, I'll let Style have his little minute to gloat because he was the only one to predict C9 to win this game. So Style, you were correct in that, man. Does it feel good?
As always, as usual.
I don't know about as always. We're kind of embellishing there, but he did correctly predict the C9 win. But let's get your thoughts on this. Let me shift to Kevin, because Kevin, I know, is a Team Liquid fan, so I on the other side. But let me get your first thoughts, because usually we're more critical on the teams that we love, right? So I want to let you kind of take the wheel here. And what happened in that game? Why do you think C9 was able? Because it was close. I thought Team Liquid had the game kind of mid-game there, and then all of a sudden C9 seemed like there were just a couple things where C9 was able to take over and win. So let me hear your thoughts on that game first, Kevin.
Just real quick, yeah, I thought that Team Liquid actually played it pretty well in the early game, but C9 was a lot more decisive in the mid game. They played around the Gragas and the Kiana, whatever her name is, really well. And the only thing I have to take home with is Impact solo killed Licorice early game, so I'll take it.
Yeah,
I was like,
did
holy
see
shit,
that.
and then the game just ended, and I was like, God damn it.
That's true. I mean, It did seem like the Team Liquid, followed suit and had a pretty good early game. I did make a couple of notes. It seemed like Jensen didn't play aggressive enough early versus Kiana, and so he didn't really take advantage of that. I felt like Niski was out roaming Jensen early. Seemed like Niski was trying to make a point, right? Because he's the one replacing Jensen on Cloud9. Do you think he did pretty well? Would you say that he made a statement there? What do you guys think?
I think he evened out the FlyQuest performance. That's all I have to say about that.
All right. Okay. What are your guys' thoughts on the game style? AFK. What are your thoughts on it?
I think the whole game was literally like we spent so much time last week talking about how Xmithie was the better jungler, and then Svenskeren just came into the game playing way better than Xmithie. I just think
was it really just that though, or
it wasn't just that. I'm not saying it was just that. I'm saying he did play better, but I wouldn't say that was the only thing. Like he didn't play like miles better that I would say, oh, they lost because Xmithie was playing bad. But I think it was a factor, right? I think he just made. I think Kiana was like 3-0 in like 8 minutes. His first gank was good. The roam top was good. By then, Jensen's laning phase was over, right? Yeah. And it wasn't really his fault per se.
Yeah. And it's kind of mind-boggling to me because with someone like playing TF, like you're supposed to be pressuring and out-rotating and having these impacts on your side lanes. And it just felt like Jensen was not doing that. And it seemed like Niski was all over the place. And, I could be wrong. I haven't played the matchup, but it just seems like TF should have had the advantage for more of these roams and wasn't able to do that. And so for me, I feel like because of that, because of the lack of lane pressure, lane priority, I feel like the pathing of Xmithie was okay, but he couldn't really do anything because his mid laner wasn't able to be there with him. But I do think that Svenskeren played really well also, just showing you why he's a great jungler. Do you have any thoughts on this game, AFK?
Yeah, a couple. So with all of the top tier teams, I like to think that the game can be dictated within the draft. If both teams play and execute perfectly, it all depends on the way that the draft follows. That being said, I didn't like that TL drafted Kennen with Aatrox and other power picks being up. It makes sense because they did want to go that TF route and play around side lanes. They had Impact build the split push Kennen. But, after Kiana was already selected, I didn't like the TF pick. I thought TL really dropped the ball in the draft, and they just couldn't execute from there.
Yeah. Okay. Do you guys agree with the draft picks there? What AFK said?
I think TL always has a bad draft, but they can always get it back with just sheer mechanics. I don't think they have a really weird style. They won't play what's good for the comp, but they'll play more about what champs they're good at. Because you'll see nearly every game you'll see Core JJ playing either Tom Kench or Rakan or something like that. I think they just pick champs they're really good at and then make it work. And I think because they're so mechanically brilliant, it works out most times. And this time it didn't work out like that. They didn't dominate from the get-go. And what you were saying about TF not being as useful, I think the main reason for that is that Kiana was 3-0 in 8 minutes. And then after Kiana's 3-0 in 8 minutes, what can Jensen realistically do? I wouldn't say it was Jensen's fault. I wouldn't say it was Jensen's fault. I mean, him holding the flash for that gank, that is Jensen's fault, which led to the downfall. But apart from that, what could Jensen have realistically have done?
That's true. I don't know. Maybe he could have gotten more lane priority early. I know the casters even said
used his flash for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I think he could have played that early game a little bit different. Not saying that would have effectively changed the outcome of the game, but you're right. I mean, some things are out of your control, but at the same time, it was just, I don't know. It was very tough for him to do anything.
It just shows how League is one of those games, right? If you make one mistake, it costs a lot.
Yeah. And you might not see it right away, but it comes up in the next, fight or the next skirmish, like the no flash or whatever it is.
And it wasn't just that he died, right? But right after he died, they pulled off that top lane gank, and Kiana got that kill as well. If you were saying that Kiana got 3 assists rather than there's 3 kills, the complexion of the game would have been completely different.
All right, so I think there were other things in the game that were pretty interesting. I jotted notes like the Impact solo kill versus Licorice. We saw that. Is this just Licorice? Like Licorice for me hasn't seemed like he's been on point. And I don't want to take anything away from Impact. I think he's playing good, but do you think also that part of it is Licorice maybe losing a bit of his touch? What do you guys think? Let's start with the C9 fan here, AFK. What do you think about your boy Licorice?
So where I'm at is I agree he hasn't lived up to performance since his wrist injury and him getting subbed out and him splitting time with Kumo. I assume that's because he's been splitting time in scrims. They're looking to get their 7th man up and running. This was the patch where Aatrox's ult got changed.
Okay.
And there could have been a little bit of confusion. I looked back and I watched Licorice's pro view during it, and the solo kill kind of came out of nowhere. Like Licorice was winning the trade, and then all of a sudden, Impact just started hitting everything.
Yeah.
Top guy.
But I mean, Impact also had a huge, dare I say, impact on the game. Sorry, I don't know why I did that, but he did though. I mean, okay, so like. I made a note that he solo took his turret, right, while they were pushing bot as well, right? So they got those 2 turrets at the same time. And then later on, he actually got the tier 2 bottom turret by himself. So the split push was definitely the route they were going. So he was effective early. And that's why I thought that Team Liquid, for sure would have been able to utilize that and move forward. And it wasn't, to me, it wasn't until that Lost Dragon fight that C9 won where things started to really snowball, because then it just seemed like C9 was able to move on from there and really get some big objectives from that. But was there any other things that you guys wanted to mention as to maybe the keys of C9's victory there? If you could pinpoint it to just a couple things. I know we've talked about, the mid lane and Scarin, but is there anything else that you guys wanted to highlight there?
I mean, I have something not related to C9.
Sure.
So basically, you can see what TL was trying to do, right? Because they had like a really good 1-3-1 comp, right? With with 2 split pushers with TF and Kennen, right? Kennen also went AD, because so once Kennen goes AD, they're going for that 1-3-1. And I think TL had like the idea of what they wanted to do. The execution was just really bad, and I think they lost the game in like the first 8 minutes when Kiana got super fed, because if you go even in that game at say like 20-30 minutes, TL wins that hands down, right? You have a split pushing cannon. Like I think Licorice played I wouldn't say really bad, but I don't think he played as well as he could. You don't give Impact his rats, right? Gnar, Cannon. All those champs, if you give Impact that, like even back when he was on, who was it? Was it Gravity or NRG? Back like a long time ago. He used to only play Cannon and Gnar. Yeah. And he used to be so good at those champs that people used to just ban Cannon and Gnar. Yeah. So I think they need to start playing around top side more than they play around mid and bot side. Maybe just to try it out, right? Because I know TL's trying out a lot of things, and I think one of those things should be playing around Impact, because he's really performing well now.
I do think so, but obviously when Double Lift's on the Sona and they're playing the Sona comp, it seems like before, when he wasn't playing a Sona comp, it was to get Double Lift fed, right? To get him going on those carries. But now it just seems like to kind of not babysit, but make sure that he can get to that point where he's starting to become relevant with Sona. And so I'm wondering, like, if that's the reason they can't necessarily play around top, is that they kind of have to ease the Sona comp in there before he, so that she can come online and Double Lift can start to do things with her. But I do agree that I think Impact is playing really well. I think maybe if they they played around him just to kind of change things up so that we know it's not always a bot lane centered strategy. It could give them another arsenal that they can use in future games, especially in playoffs and perhaps international tournaments.
And I get what you're saying, but I don't want to see double lift on Sona.
No, I
my
agree.
problem.
I don't like it either. Yeah. What'd you say, AFK?
I will say Impact was one of the driving forces that brought TL back from their game against Optic the previous day.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
He popped off on Aatrox.
Yeah, for sure.
So
and then he
mechanical
popped
question.
Aatrox.
It's not really a question in my perspective. I think TL could very well play around him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he is a world champion.
He is a world champion, but so is Core JJ. And I think putting your effort down towards double lift and down towards Core JJ, allowing them to smash lane like they always do, and being able to play around them in mid game is where their strength lies.
Yeah, part of my problem is putting double lift on that Sona. I don't know. How do you feel about it, Kevin? Let me hear your thoughts on this, because I know you have a lot of stake in Team Liquid because that's your team. How are you liking the fact that they've been playing a lot of Sona on double lift, who is this world-class ADC, and they're putting this Sona on him?
In the short term, I don't like it. It's just boring to watch. But I think it's really good for Team Liquid because, the fact that they can convince double lift of all people to play Sona bot lane is convincing Style to main Jen or something. Right?
I'm John the Master.
It's really good for Team Liquid on an international level that they can choose different Steam comps and just have a threat in the draft. Because if Sona Tark or something's up, you want to be able to pick off one half of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to have that threat is just a big deal. I don't think that they're gonna rely on it, but I think Team Liquid's trying to develop a bunch of tools that they can use, like TF, for example. It was not very good on Jensen, but he can use it if he practices it more on stage. Better do it now in the regular season than playoffs or worlds.
Right. Okay. So good points. Let me go ahead and let's go ahead and move on, because Team Liquid, obviously they're good. It's not like that was a good game. They obviously lost that one. Speaking of that though, they are still first, so they're 12-4. Now tied for second is Cloud9 and CLG. So CLG tying second place now with Cloud9. TSM surprisingly is in third still. So they are 9-7, and then we have a three-way tie for fourth. So all at 8-8. We have Golden Guardians, Optic Gaming, and Clutch Gaming, and then next is 100 Thieves, 7-9. So closing the gap, still a game off there. FlyQuest is at 5-11, and then in last place is Echo Fox. No surprise, 3-13 there. So we're just gonna go down the list, talk about some of these teams. Cloud9, we obviously talked about them against Team Liquid already, but how did you think their overall week went? In addition to them beating Team Liquid, how do you think they are right now? Do you think they'll finish as the second place team? Because you got CLG tied with them now, but as far as things go for the long run, do you think Team Cloud9 has it? I mean, they did lose to FlyQuest, so
wait, are they tied?
They are tied.
I thought CLG had 11 wins.
Yeah, I think CLG is actually 11-5. They're 1 win ahead.
Yeah, they're 11.
Are they?
CLG won that last match. I think Game of Legends is wrong.
Oh, it is wrong. Okay.
The official LoL Esports website says CLG is 11-5.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know where the mistake was made though, but yeah, as far as I remember, CLG is second. I think that means TSM's fourth.
Yeah, you're right. TSM is at fourth. So CLG is 11-5. Okay, then. Well, then, so this begs even more to the argument. Do you think CLG is the true second place, or do you think C9 still can do this? Or I don't know. CLG has been showing their colors, but I gotta ask.
It's all a mess. This is a problem.
Yeah.
It's all
nothing is predictable.
It's like a fruit salad, but with teams.
Yeah.
Everyone is good. Everyone can be everyone, but everyone can also lose to everyone.
Where I'm coming from is you have to look at the strengths of schedule going into this next week. And Counterlogic is playing both Optic as well as 100 Thieves. I think 100 Thieves is actually looking really good, as well as Optic. Optic is not going to have the best week going up against Counterlogic Gaming and Cloud9.
Sure.
So
yeah.
It's
for you, you're saying that CLG has a tougher schedule.
I think CLG does have a tougher schedule.
Okay.
Being because Cloud9's other game is against Golden Guardians. And sure, they're looking good, but those are both of some of the bottom tier playoff teams we're expecting to come in, like 5th and 6th seed.
Yeah.
I think it really depends on what version of CLG that we're getting, whether it's the consistent one we have been seeing or the one from 3 weeks ago.
And I mean, and it's funny because again, so their weekend was 1-1. They lost to Clutch, which again, Clutch just did they?
Did they beat Clutch?
They did beat Clutch.
I remember watching that match. They were losing, but they won that.
Well, then this is really wrong.
Yeah,
Game of Legends is really wrong.
That's the reason why Game of Legends is wrong. Yeah. They, messed up that match for some reason.
Okay. So they won that one. Okay. So they were 2-0 then. Is that correct?
They were 2-0. But
okay, so they did beat. Okay, I was about to say because. Teams. Okay, so easy teams, they won. They did what they're supposed to do, by all accounts. Now, they do have a little tougher schedule, so it's going to be seen. But I also think that C9 has not a hard schedule, but I mean, Optic and Golden Guardians are kind of in that same middle of the pack thing, too. You could argue just straight record, 100 Thieves is lower, even though 100 Thieves has been playing better. So I honestly think that they may have kind of balanced team. They both have to basically do their thing next week to kind of excel. So now it's becoming more important to get these 2-0 weekends as opposed to just splitting the weekend 1-1. But what are your thoughts on that style? Do you think C9's got this, or do you think Clutch is for real? Do you think Clutch ends up second?
If I had to pick, I don't want to pick, but if I had to pick, I would say TL will end up first, C9 will end up second, and then CLG third.
Yeah. Okay. Kevin, you agree, or are you in a different boat?
I think that CLG, based on strength of schedule, will get third, but I think that CLG is the second place team.
Ooh, okay. So in a matchup, you think that CLG could beat C9?
Yeah, because this last week doesn't super matter. You're still gonna have to play against each other in the playoffs most likely at some point. If you're like consider the second best team, I'm assuming you're gonna get to the finals unless you hit TL early.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, I only care that CLG is probably looking like the second best team.
Okay. Well then, go ahead, AFK.
I actually have a question. Do you think it's possible TL loses their first seed if they go 0-2 this week, which could happen if TSM gets back on track and Echo Fox performs?
Well, you have a lot more faith.
The place team performs. They did give TSM a run for their money. Sure, TSM is not playing very well.
I'm gonna have to say. Hard no. That's a hard no for me. I'm not putting any money on that bet right there. I'm just gonna say that right now.
Yes, it's possible. Is it gonna happen? Hell no.
Yes.
If it does, I'm gonna be sick next week on the show too. I'll just be dying inside.
Yeah, I think if that's the case, Kevin's just gonna hang up his Team Liquid hat, and that's it.
Honestly, we might as well just cancel podcast in memory of Kevin.
That's it. Yeah, in memory of Kevin. I'll just have a big RIP sticker on Kevin's face cam. No, but honestly, okay. TSM, and that's a good transition anyways, because they're the next place team, right? But TSM honestly has looked terrible week to week. I'm always losing more and more faith in them, and I'm a TSM fan, so I feel like I rag on them even harder because I think they suck right now. I don't know what they're doing, and honestly this past weekend was just abysmal. Okay, they almost lost to Echo Fox, and then they did lose to 100 Thieves, and that to me was, I just am at a loss for words. I mean, I took some notes on the TSM 100 Thieves game. But other than 100 Thieves playing better, TSM also played like crap. I mean, they played decent early game. I got that. It looks like Broken Blade was able to stop 2 early dives, which was great. He was doing his thing. But then it seemed like he got a little cocky. And, Fake God was able to basically wake up and he solo killed Broken Blade. And then Sven got caught again. I don't know if you guys remember that, but he was sitting there mid lane knowing that they were all around Baron, and he basically gets caught out and solo killed. And I just remember the last team fight, Bjergsen had a terrible Twisted Fate ult where, I don't know if that was terrible or miscommunication, but he basically ulted in the back line with no support around him, and he got just one-shotted and he died really quickly. So I don't know what's happening here, but it does definitely look like they're on the downtrend. Honestly, I don't. ADC difference. I honestly don't think that they are in any position. I think they're just down from here. Like, I don't think they, because of how their record is. Yes, they make playoffs, but I honestly don't think they make it past the first round. I just don't think they're playing that well.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think so.
You expect TSM to lose to a 5th or a 6th seed, or the?
I think so. I think so, just because I don't think, like, even like Bjergsen is okay, but I just don't think there's enough of a carry power there that you could say, okay, this guy's just gonna straight up carry us. That's just my opinion. I don't think they have it. And just watching their games week to week, I don't think it's good at all. So in my opinion, I don't think they're, I don't even know if they stay in 3rd or 4th. Maybe they drop down to 5th or 6th.
Yeah, I think.
What are your thoughts on that? Yeah, what do you think, sir?
I think TSM will clean up everything before playoffs. I think I think it will be another like TSM TL final or semifinal. I don't think they'll lose in the first round, and I don't think they'll even lose in the second round. I mean, I'm not saying I'm putting money on it, but I definitely don't think they'll lose in the first round. I'd put money on that. But the second round, it's like
you're not putting money on the
I
second.
think usually, I'm not putting money in the second round, but the first round I definitely would.
Okay.
So the main reason I think TSM will do okay in the first round is because they won't have like too many things they haven't seen before. I think TSM is doing what TL is doing, right? They're trying a bunch of different things. You see them playing things like Kled, but they don't really know exactly how Kled will work.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just trying stuff out. I think the one way they'll start winning games, like what they definitely need to change, is how they react in the early game. I think Twisted Fate is a really good pick for Bjergsen, and he needs to keep playing it because he's doing well on it. Like when they win, like from behind, they can come back. That's the thing they lack, because when they're ahead, they just throw away. But if they're behind, it's not as bad. Like you saw, they were super behind in the Echo Fox game, and they still somehow managed to win.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, again, like, I just don't know, because I just don't feel like there's any kind of identity right now and no kind of consistency.
This is also personal bias, though. So
yeah, no, I get it. AFK or Kevin, you got any thoughts on TSM?
Yeah, I think it really depends on how this week does go for them. I know you mentioned Bjergsen's TF, which I think is a good champ for him. TF really relies on that 1-3-1 and working on that roam, and so when you've got Sven who gets picked, or even Broken Blade, if he were to make a misplay and another top team capitalize on that, now you're down a member going into a team fight where TF's really his strength comes from being able to get to those fights. I think it's a good pick in certain situations, but it heavily relies on your team, and where Bjergsen is, the head of TSM as it seems. Yeah. It makes it tough. I think that what they need to do is branch out to a different play style, play around Acadian on, for example, Sejuani or Jarvan, let him be a decisive playmaker.
Yeah, I totally get that. All right, you got anything on that, Kevin?
Yeah, just real quick. I think that TSM is kind of in hot water even for the first round. I agree with you, actually. I think for the second round, if they can get their shit together, and for the second round, it just comes down to who they match up against. I think they can beat some of the top 3 teams, but I don't think they'll beat Team Liquid if they meet them there.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, it's feeling really shaky, and maybe it's just the recency bias thing, right? But honestly, you kind of have to. That's all we kind of have to look at is what is the momentum going into the last couple of weeks or last few games. And for me, the momentum just definitely seems like on a downward spiral. Like, I think because of just their pure talent, they can eke some games out, like what they seem like they did against Echo Fox. Like, they just, are a better team as far as better players overall, so they're able to squeeze that out. But I think if they play any kind of team with some kind of cohesion or identity with a solid game plan, I don't think TSM knows what to do, honestly. So that's where I'm coming from. But I think they're all valid points. So my thinking is that I think they'll be a 5th or 6th place team, honestly, and we'll have to see from there. I'll eat my words and I'll be happy if they win, but I'm not really banking on my boys right now. But let's go on to kind of the two teams tied with 8-8. It's Golden Guardians and Optic Gaming, because Optic Gaming, first of all, Optic Gaming is just been really weird lately, right? So this past week they went 0-2. The week before they went 2-0. And then the week before that, they went 0-2. So it's like they've been kind of at this point where they were good in the beginning, then they kind of had split weekends, and then they did completely terrible, then really well, and then really terrible again. So now they're sitting at 8-8, tied with Golden Guardians. So they did lose to Team Liquid again, and they lost to Golden Guardians. But the Team Liquid game was pretty close. So
close. It was very close.
maybe it's not super terrible, but again, they lost to Golden Guardians. So your thoughts on Optic here? Do they kind of just sit where they're at? With this kind of back and forth type deal. I mean, I think they're kind of ending up where we thought they might be. Or as expected, but I'd like to hear if you guys got any insights into Optic at the moment, or if you think their record reflects where they should be.
I think they're pretty irrelevant, honestly.
Okay.
I think they're gonna lose their games, and then 100 Thieves is gonna become 6th place, and then they're gonna get to playoffs, and they're gonna win LCS.
Oh boy.
Okay, they're not gonna win LCS.
Okay, I was like, wait.
Here we go.
Okay. The last part. The winning the LCS part is a joke, but I do think they'll make playoffs, and either GGS or Optic don't make it. I'm gonna put my money on GGS not making it.
Really?
Yeah. I guess if we're talking about Optic, I the way I want to talk about Optic is kind of with their counterpoint with Golden Guardians, because they beat 100 Thieves, they beat Optic, and the two losses they had last week were against the better teams. They lost to Team Liquid and TSM. So by all accounts, I mean, they beat CLG before that, lost. So I think, if we're just talking about momentum, I know it's only 1 week, but I think Golden Guardians may have figured something out, I guess. And I think going into this next week, maybe they continue that momentum. Well, let's see who they play. So Golden Guardians plays Cloud9 and Clutch. So Golden Guardians plays against Cloud9 and against Clutch, whereas Optic they also play Cloud9 and CLG. So I don't know. If you had to give the edge there, who do you give it to? For me, I think it's Golden Guardians. That's just, I'm just gonna say straight up based on where I think their momentum is headed. But you guys agree, disagree? What do you think? Golden Guardians or Optic? Who comes out ahead here?
I think it's Golden Guardian, and that's sad to say because I love Meteos as a player. Crown is performing a little bit inconsistent. There was the questionable decision he made on Corky, where he just dives right into TL. But
yeah.
I think Crown's a little bit inconsistent, and that puts a lot of pressure on Meteos himself to be able to kind of run the squad, because Arrow does his job kinda, Big does his job kinda. He was looking kind of unimpressive this last week, and then
Sure.
you've got Dokla, and you finally figured out what to do with him. Put him on a tank and leave him up top.
Yeah, he's kind of getting the impact treatment from before.
Yeah, I've got to kind of give the edge over to Golden Guardians, because Froggen can play inconsistently well.
Inconsistently well?
Inconsistently well.
He means inconsistently well. So sometimes he's a god, and sometimes you're like, what?
Sometimes he just is kind of meh, but he still plays well.
Yeah, he still plays well. Yeah, and that's the thing. He has those not weird, but niche picks that he, only Froggen can pull off. And so I think that does throw people off sometimes. Yeah.
Karthus.
So, yeah.
Anivia,
of course. Yeah, I think he could still pull that off. But yeah, I mean, I think it's close. And I think, what about you, Kevin? Do you think it's Golden Guardians, or are you still holding out for Optic? What do you think?
I think it's gonna be Optic. I think they're gonna beat CLG in the first game because I've just seen how CLG plays, and I think that Optic has a good matchup into them, despite CLG being the better team overall. and then afterward, Optic has to play against Cloud9. I don't know how that's gonna go. I think Optic's gonna go 1-1. CLG wins, Z9 loss, and then I think Golden Guardians is gonna go 1-1. So
Yeah.
they'll still
And
be
then
tied.
100 Thieves is going to be 2-0, and then they'll win.
If 100
Okay.
Wait, wouldn't that be a three-way tie then?
A three-way tie.
A
Yeah.
three-way tie.
That'd be
That's if Clutch or no, that's if 100 Thieves goes 2-0, then there's a three-way tie.
Right.
You mean when 100 Thieves goes 2-0?
Oh my gosh. So if you guys haven't listened to a couple of our last episodes.
Because they also. Oh, sorry.
No, it's just that Style is definitely on this 100 Thieves kick right now, which I'm not saying they definitely have improved tremendously. They've actually made a dent here in these standings, and potentially they could keep climbing. And so that's what we transition into now with 100 Thieves. I know where Styles at on him. He really believes that they're gonna make some moves, but are you guys as hopeful? Or I mean, because some things have to happen with the other teams. Like other teams have to lose as well. I mean, even if they are playing pretty good, I mean, they're still losing games, but they're playing better.
I'm in too deep, you see. Once I make a prediction like that, I have to stick to it, even if I don't believe it. So now I'm in too deep. And
That's
after
okay.
I'm in too deep, there's no getting out. It's like when you make
committed.
like a bunch of lies, and then one messed up lie, and you're screwed. So if 100 Thieves lose, then I'm screwed. But until then, you gotta just stick to the lie and hope it all ends well.
Yeah.
That sounds like a sunk cost fallacy to me.
I know. It doesn't sound like, I don't know if you're confident in them or you're just in too deep. It just sounds like, what I mean, so, okay, based on actual analysis, do you think...
I predicted 1-1 of 100 Thieves this week, except I thought that TSM would beat 100 Thieves, and they would be, who's it they lost to?
They lost to Clutch.
Some bad team, yeah. Exactly.
Oh, no,
So I thought it would be the other way around.
Guardians. My bad.
Yeah, I thought it would be they're playing against Clutch. I think it would be the other way around. But still, a 1-1 prediction is a 1-1 prediction. So
sure.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
That's get it completely wrong, and
I know that's still wrong.
One of three options you can.
No, that doesn't. That doesn't actually matter. We'll count your C9 prediction, but that one, no, that doesn't count towards.
Hey, 1-1 is 1-1.
It's like, in the world of Style, 1-1 is 1-1, but in the real world, it doesn't actually. It actually matters which game you predict correctly. So, Kevin, are you on this hype train with Style on 100 Thieves?
I really like 100 Thieves right now. Like, I'm really digging how they're playing. I don't know if they could beat CLG. Their strengths lie elsewhere, and their jungling. I don't know. I said Optics is a good matchup into CLG, but I don't think 100 Thieves is. Like,
okay.
That's what all the non-believers say.
Okay.
I want them to go 2-0 just because it'd be spicy as hell, but I am not predicting it. I think it's a 1-1.
1-1 week for 100 Thieves.
I actually think 100 Thieves goes 2-0.
Really?
Okay.
I think Amazing is a better jungler than Wiggly, and that's definitely very opinionated.
Mm-hmm.
I think Amazing has been playing very well. He's been the driving force that I assume to be for 100 Thieves recently, because it wasn't until he joined the team and then they subbed out someday to where 100 Thieves is what 7-5 now, 7-4. Something like that.
They were 0-4 before they subbed them out, so now they're 7-5. Yep.
7-5. Yeah. And that being said, 100 Thieves also plays Clutch, so the winner of that just knocks out the other person looking to get 6th seed.
The thing is, Clutch keeps on going 50-50 basically.
I know.
Over and
that's
over.
The thing.
We keep counting them out, and they're still at 50%.
They always manage to take a game.
Win and die by Huni. They win and lose by Huni.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, and as well for the statistics that you were saying about Amazing, the thing is, he also they didn't just bring Amazing in, right? They brought in Ryu.
Yeah, Ryu.
And I think you can't just say everything is Amazing. That's like Amazing statistic, because I think Ryu has also been playing really well.
Yeah.
I think Ryu has. There was one game I remember he just got subbed back in and he plays Lissandra, and I got PTSD from Worlds watching him on Lissandra. But
but then you see him on Victor,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Ryu
it's-
was playing very well this
Yeah.
last couple weeks.
I think Ryu was always good. Even in EU, he was like, I thought he was like really insane mechanically. I mean, the only things that let him down were like sometimes he doesn't choose like the right time to go in. He's like over aggressive. I think it's an EU thing.
It could be a comms thing too when he was in EU, but either way, Rio's like going even with Birks and the other top mid laners in
Yeah.
lane, so like you gotta give him credit at some point, even if you can meme on him easily.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it could be one of those things where we just see these three teams, you know, Optic, Golden Guardians, 100 Thieves, all go 1-1. Like, I mean, it could be that as well, and we just get more of the same. That would mean, though, that Clutch loses both games. So
is it a definite tiebreaker in that case? Like, is there a confirmed tiebreaker?
4 teams tie. I believe it's a definite tiebreaker, no matter their results against each other. I read the LCS rulebook before, so I'm pretty sure.
But even if say, what tiebreakers matter though? Because you need a definite 1-4, right? Because the other teams play an extra game, or is it the bottom 4?
5 and 6 get side selection too, I think, but I don't remember.
Yeah. Okay.
I think you need a tiebreaker for all of the positions, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
Okay.
That's gonna be fun to watch tiebreakers.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
I
do think they're kind of like I think this clump right here is interesting because I think at any given day they could beat each other. So that kind of is how it's supposed to pan out. I mean, obviously, we'll have to wait and see, but I think it's going to be interesting with these at least 3 teams. And Clutch, again, was a team that we always seem to just overlook because they're but then they've been going 50-50. I still have the same thoughts that I don't think they're going to make it any further, but if they keep stealing games like this, then they could definitely affect the standings. But any thoughts on Clutch or FlyQuest or Echo Fox? Now we're rolling into kind of like the non-important teams. Is there anything you guys wanted to mention about them? Otherwise, we'll just blaze over them and go to looking ahead.
Can FlyQuest even qualify now? No, right?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
There's too many teams at 8 and 8, right?
Yeah, there's
6
2 teams at 8 and 8. There's 2 teams 7 and 9, I believe. Yeah. So they're pretty far gone. So is Echo Fox. So and then Echo Fox, with
Echo Fox, even if they had like 8 wins, you wouldn't even predict them to make it through.
No, and it's just whole sad with the Rick Fox thing. I'm gonna miss that guy with that whole situation.
I don't know what happened with that.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of made some videos talking about the thing, but
He's
basically
pretty mad about it.
He's pretty upset because the thing is,
sad about it.
he doesn't have control over the organization, so they're selling their spot. So he's still part of Echo Fox, the organization, but Echo Fox is selling their spot out of LCS, so he's not actually going to be part of League of Legends anymore, unless he went to a different organization or something. But as far as what's happened now, since they've sold their spot, Rick Fox is no longer going to be like a face in the League community, at least not on that kind of level. He probably still pop in every now and then, but he won't actually have a stake in it. So it's kind of sad with everything that went down.
I think Echo Fox is a lot better than their actual record. That's all I'm going to say. Like, they did put up a fight against TSM. 2 of their 3 wins was against TL. Sure, they were experimenting that game. The other game was against Cloud9 going into Rift Rivals. The other game was Optic. So
yeah,
I think Clutch, or not Clutch, sorry, Echo Fox 50-50s a lot of their games.
Yeah.
What I noticed is that they had an issue with going somewhere and then they would stay too long and then they would get punished for it.
Yeah.
And that's how they would throw leads.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, I mean, obviously they could be good. I just think that for this season, at least, they're a wash. Like, there's nothing really they can do except focus on next split. And, again, with the whole organizational things that are happening, I mean, this team is basically in flux right now. So it kind of doesn't matter at this point. But they could take a game here and there. I'm just not really expecting them to, just because even outside factors are going to play into that. So we'll have to see. But other than that, I mean, is there anything else with these organizations that y'all want to talk about? Otherwise, we'll look forward to this week. Okay, so coming up this week, obviously, I think the biggest game would be the TSM Team Liquid matchup. So that'll be interesting. So let's talk about thoughts here. Let's start with you, Kevin. I'll let you, the Team Liquid fan, go here. I think predictions. I mean, I love TSM, but again, you know where I'm at with them. I think Team Liquid beats them pretty easily, honestly. But I'll let you talk on that, Kevin.
I think that this game is in flux because I think Liquid will beat Echo Fox. If Liquid beats Echo Fox, they lock down the playoff spot, first place by, I believe it is. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, actually, I guess technically CLG could go 2-0, but I think Liquid's 2-0 against CLG, if I remember correctly. Anyways, if Liquid is locked into first, I think Liquid's just going to try random shit in their last match against TSM. And so I think TSM could actually take it away, but not necessarily just through their own merit. So it works out in TSM's favor if Liquid gets a lock on first.
Yeah, that's true. And who knows, because, you know, that is a thing. If they lock it in, there's no reason to really play all, and maybe they want to try something, you know, against a decent team
during the regular season. So
exactly.
Not now.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good point. So that could even play a factor. Style, what do you think?
On the TSM TL game?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna say TSM wins. Because not just biased, but I'm telling you, if TL drafts like they did against C9, I think TSM wins this.
Okay.
I think if they can just fix their mistakes, like fix their their late game, I think they win. I think they have like one of the best early games I've seen teams have, but then they just throw it away. They're like, you know what would be fun if we win early and then lose the game. It's like half my rank games, honestly.
Yeah.
And then. And it's like, it's not like they're a bad team or they have bad players. It's just that they have like some sort of communication error, like mid-game. Like everyone's doing like their own thing. I think Sven should just get kicked, but like I don't control that. If it was me, I would kick him, even though he's like EU, right? And I can't stand the fact that he's still here after all the mistakes he's made. Like he's made so many that's costed them games. He made a mistake that literally cost them LCS.
Yeah, no kidding. And ever since then, he's been getting caught out on like the weirdest champs too, like Ezreal, like Sivir. Okay, I just feel like he just is not. I don't know what's happening.
It's not the other teams playing well. It's TSM literally shooting themselves in the foot. I think as long as they don't shoot themselves in the foot, I think they can win. And then, I don't know, I'm not saying this will happen, but that actually just brings up the possibility of, 0-2 TL, right?
Yeah, I guess.
I guess. Going back to his point.
Okay.
I mean, it's possible.
All right. That's... Who's going to make that claim? Because we got to get this on document. Like, would you put money on that claim?
I'll do it. I'll document it.
You're only doing that because no real money is involved.
With no real money. I'm not gonna. If I was gonna bet money, right?
That's what I'm saying.
The return on it, you know what the return on it would be? It would be actually insane. Just for TL winning would be like 4 times what you get. It would probably be
but
like.
But the point is that if you're gonna make a prediction. A prediction goes with your conviction, not just because you're like, well, whatever. Your prediction has to be your conviction. And if you believe in your conviction, you'd put some money on that thing. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, you would predict it.
I would never put money on TL losing 2 games. There's no chance.
That's what
I would put money on TSM beating TL, but not on what is it? On TL beating Echo Fox.
Okay.
I mean,
Echo
Fox.
I give you that.
TL.
I give you that. I'll put you down as TSM. Okay. What about you, AFK Trash Can?
See, it's weird that I have more faith in Echo Fox to play well than TSM. Like that's extremely weird.
Ow! Woo! You hear that, TSM fans? This is how bad our team is right now. Oh gosh.
I have faith.
Yeah.
I feel like the TL Echo Fox game, depending on which version of TL and which version of Echo Fox show up, it's almost a 50-50. And that's not insulting TL. I think Echo Fox has been playing extremely well in their game against TSM. It should have just been TSM whitewashes, right?
Yeah, right. Okay. Well,
Echo Fox was trading back blow for blow with almost every play.
Okay.
And I thought it was crazy.
So you're saying in the okay, if you were to pick TL or TSM, are you saying Team Liquid then? Because you said you had less faith in TSM than
Over
Echofox.
TL and TSM, I predict TL.
Okay. But you are actually more confident. You would put more faith in Echofox actually beating Team Liquid than okay.
Correct.
I get what you're saying.
I don't think that's going to be my prediction. I think I still take the safe bet and vote TL, but there's definitely a possibility Echofox makes an upset.
All right. We got nobody here with convictions. Come on, man. Just say it.
I literally said TSM will beat TL.
I know, but here's the thing.
No,
you can't just say
happen.
You can't say
That's
things like
conviction.
you can't say things like if depending on what version Team Liquid is, depending on what version, because on any given day, good versions. Of course, if the good versions come up, then of course they're gonna win.
No, but I think not necessarily, because if you're comparing the good version of TL against the good version of TSM, I would choose TSM. That's like saying if I pick the bad version of TSM
yes,
against
but
the
what
bad
I'm saying
version of
is,
TL.
based on what we've seen recently, that's why we make the prediction. So we don't know what version of TSM is going to play, but from what I've seen lately, TSM sucks, right? And so that's why I'm making the prediction that Team Liquid is going to win.
That's not like a proper prediction though. You can't just go by like. Sometimes you just gotta have faith. Like if you looked on if you're basing just on games you saw, do you think anyone would predict C9 to beat Team Liquid?
No, but
not
that's
a single person.
But then why look at stats? That's the whole point of stats. Is that we
but
use...
you don't just look at stats.
Well,
you
sure,
look at
like you predict C9 beats Team Liquid off of nothing, no stats, no games that you just watched recently. You're literally just guessing.
No, I'm not saying it's not just stats. I'm saying stats are a part of it, but sometimes you just gotta think. It's not just stats though, and it's not just previous game. It's just looking at their rosters and saying, oh, this player is better than this player. But not based on how they play, but at their peak performance or at their worst performance.
Okay.
So it's not just statistics, right? It's like, potential, how they look on paper. That's why I say TSM will win.
All right, well, here's my argument to that then, because here's the thing, like, in order to be the best, you have to perform at that level more often than your counterparts. So you can't just say, well, the skill ceiling for, Sven or Broken Blade is much higher. Like they could potentially beat, Double Lift and Impact because their skill cap is much higher. Yes, that might be the case. But if TSM is not bringing that consistently every game, then no, they're not better. They're not going to perform better than Team Liquid, even though the potential of who they are as a player is there. You look at performances to gauge how a player is. That's why I say Xmithy to me is an MVP candidate, because he's been the most consistent. Not saying that Double Lift or Core JJ or even Impact haven't played well. They have, but for me, consistency in that high level of play is what matters when you're looking at who is going to win. So that's all I'm saying, is that you have to look at stats. I'm not saying that's not everything. And you can say, yes, they have these moments, these clutch moments, or they have been known to pop off. But if I'm to look at where they're at as far as momentum in the games right now, by far Team Liquid has the advantage, by far. I don't think TSM and what they've proven lately, I'm talking the past 3 weeks lately, has any chance to win.
Okay. Yeah, I get that, right? But one of the things you said, like, is for me, right? Or for you. So you can't tell me why I can predict something, right? I could say, I woke up on this side of the bed, so I think TSM's gonna win. And it's not like you can say
no. I'm not telling you how to. I'm not telling you how to predict. I'm just saying when you predict, you should predict based on some kind of conviction on something, because the way you predict sometimes will be like, well, it depends. If they do this, then they can win. But we're not saying if they can do this. You have to say, I predict.
But that's reasoning why I think they'll win, right? That's not saying, these guys are going to show up and they're going to win. I'm saying that I think TSM will win because of this. And I think this so when I say things like if they show up, means I think they will show up when they play TL. It's not like saying, if this happens, that's not even a prediction. That's just like stating facts. Like you can't. I'm not gonna base like my opinion on
just wording now at this point. It's just like literally the word "if" was the one that we had a close with.
Yeah. But overall, I'm not basing it on
I mean
stats.
you could predict however you want. Like I don't mind that. You could I could say that I think Echo Fox is going to win because such has been playing underrated. That's a prediction based on what I've observed, right? Not necessarily stat wise, but what I'm saying is sometimes the predictions you make, you got to be all in, man. You can't just say, you can't be wishy-washy. Like what I want to see say, you know what, based on what I've observed, whether it's stats or whether it's who the person is, I am confident, or I'm placing my prediction on such and such, and that's all I'm saying is like don't play the line, you know what I mean? Like come in with some gusto. That's all I want. And that's cool. You pick TSM, I pick TSM. I mean, no, I picked Team Liquid. I did not pick TSM. No, there's no way
I just think they have
TSM.
more skilled players except in bot lane. And
yeah.
I know that one of these days the old E's Ven is gonna come out, and TSM TL will be that day.
Yeah, he's gonna come out, and then his team will lose anyways, and it won't matter.
Exactly.
No,
all right,
well, I'm telling you, it's gonna pop off.
Well, let me go down the prediction line then. Okay, so I said Team Liquid wins. Kevin, you did say that it depends, and this is okay because I think this is an okay statement to make. Now, Kevin said it depends on whether Team Liquid beats Echo Fox or not, because if they beat Echo Fox, they're locked in. So now their mentality changes. Now things change, and yes, they may not try as hard. So I can see that. So you're saying that.
I'll predict that TSM will win just because I know that Liquid will be Echo Fox. Like,
and therefore,
I'll just be more definite. Yeah. Therefore.
Okay. And then AFK, you said Team Liquid, and Style, you said TSM. So Kevin and Style both predicted
Mine's
TSM.
just personal bias, to be honest.
No, that's good.
Mine's definitely not personal bias. So.
Mine is definitely, and that's the thing. Like, I love TSM. I want to say TSM, but do I think TSM is gonna win? No, I don't think so. That's just my.
It's just like a gut feeling sometimes, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, it's just you think they're gonna win. It's like
I know
when you look at C9 versus TL, you never expect anyone to pick C9 with like half a brain, right?
Yeah, it's true. No, you were right. I will say you were right with C9.
Yeah. No. The thing is, I don't even know how I was right.
That's such a slam. The AFK trash. Hey, this is what happens. That's all right.
Every time. Sure, it doesn't happen every time, but
you feel free to rag on us when TSM loses, okay? Because that's just the way we roll over here, okay? Bring your personal biases.
50% of the reason I come to the show is so I can tickle people.
It's true. No, it's true. I like it. That's what makes this fun. All right, so we spent a lot of time there. That's cool. Is there any last things you guys want to talk about as far as coming up? We've talked about some of the matchups already. I do think the Team Liquid and TSM is the spiciest one to watch, but there's going to be a lot of important games. Every game is important, right? So I think that makes every match, something to watch. So some examples: CLG, Optic Gaming, C9, Golden Guardians. All of these games are going to be important, but I do think the highlight one is TSM, Team Liquid. So any last thoughts you guys want to make? Any bold predictions y'all want to throw out there before we wrap up the show? Is there anything y'all want to say?
Predictions?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Do you want to say Echo Fox? Okay.
I was gonna say CLG loses to Optic. They go 1-1.
Okay, so CLG loses to Optic.
Earlier too, so I
will say Echo Fox beats TL.
Okay.
That's a bold prediction. The first one.
That's a bold prediction. Okay.
I have faith, but if it does happen, I don't think TL's got mental going into the TSM game. I still think they win, but it definitely affects their playoff performance, I think.
You think? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So are we all making bold predictions?
You can? Yeah.
You have one.
That's my boldest prediction.
100 Thieves 2-0. That's pretty bold because they play CLG, right?
And that lines up with CLG. You. So 100 Thief goes 2-0. That's Styles' prediction. Okay. That's a good bold one. I like it. And that lines up because
I'm glad I didn't have to watch any more Lux support, honestly. Thank God.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Kevin, any bold predictions for us? Nah,
I mean, good. I think Golden Guardians is going to be Cloud9, so that's what I have going in.
Ooh. Okay.
I don't know how bold that is, but I thought Golden Guardians would beat them.
I mean, personally, I think it's pretty bold.
Yeah,
I can't predict that. I can't predict that because then my hopes of 100 Thieves making it to playoffs.
Yeah. It doesn't line up. No. It doesn't match. I getcha.
I've done the math, and that's not inconsistent with my other predictions.
Okay.
Actually, technically, they could win that and lose, and then 100 Thieves make it to tiebreakers and still go through.
True. Okay. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up then for this week's LCS recap. Hey, guys, there's a lot of stuff happening. It's going to get more and more important each week. And I love that we've been able to have energetic discussions on our predictions and our teams. But hey, if you guys have any questions at all, feel free to email us at theallinpodcast@gmail.com or tweet us at theallinpodcast. I want to thank my co-hosts, StyleOnHim123, AFK Trashcan, and Kevin Shee. Thank you so much for your insights and your predictions and your energy. I hope to see you guys again soon. But until then, guys, enjoy your climb on the Rift or in TeamFight Tactics. And try not to be too toxic. And we'll see you all on the next episode. Peace.